Hey, this is Mark Henry, author of Dancing with Energy, Healing Magic, and Mysticism, here to talk to you more about the occult and the paranormal. Well, today the video is going to be about, are you the victim, or have been the victim, of a magical attack? So, this video is going to briefly discuss the signs and symptoms of a magical or psychic attack. You could easily turn into several videos. And I think I have some personal experience with this, being the victim of these things, so I might do another video, and I'm thinking about maybe putting it on Patreon for those people who are part of that. But in any case, there's so much involved, so I'm just going to kind of cover the highlights right now to kind of give you the basics. So the way that I would define the magical psychic attack as the intentional or unintentional use of energy or force by human spirit or deities to potentially cause harm to someone. And harm could be physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. Sometimes it's all of them, depending on how the energy hits and the person's unique vulnerabilities. Because that's the thing. I've noticed that when these magical wars happen and people are throwing these things at each other, is that sometimes you'll see somebody who throw a particular curse or whatever at somebody, and the person takes it and it doesn't really affect them. That the person who initially cast it, what if they don't have the stable structures of mind and in their life? Maybe they're unemployed, maybe they have this or that going on, and their overall constitution of their life is weak. That seems like a foolish thing to do if you have somebody who is going to send something back, maybe do some reversal work. So if anyone is thinking about that particular thing, I would caution you with this, because some people can probably take this particular spiritual intervention, other people can't. So I don't want to get too off into that. So anyway, what form does this usually take, these psychic magical attacks? Well, it could be something as simple as a thought form. Someone breaks up with somebody and one of them is really upset and mad, and they did this to me and that, and they're stewing about this for days, and they're really wishing and thinking hateful thoughts about this person. That can create, those thoughts has energy, and they create a form, and that could actually turn into a thought form that can seek this person out and do some minor things, maybe cause some irritations and some possibly very, very mild bad luck. Now this could be intentional, or it could be unintentional. Maybe the person who was upset really wasn't planning on hurting the person. Maybe they were just, into their feelings, into their thoughts, and this is kind of the outcome of it. Or it could be, again, intentional. Sometimes you have magical or covens, witches, who get together and to create a cone of power and to send it off towards a particular purpose. For example, you had the series of witches that were trying to work to get Trump impeached. I think, is that what their goal is? Can't remember. I know that they were trying to do something with them. So thought forms. Second one would be the deliberate and intentional use of magic for this psychic attack. So that would be somebody who's willing to take the time and energy to do a formal ritual, to conjure some type, invoke some type of wrathful spirit, maybe a demon, other type of spirit, to go out and do something to this particular person. And that happens. So I would say there's different varying degrees of risk for this. If you know people who practice or even dabble in the occult, witchcraft and some of these types of things, if you know them, your risk goes up a little bit. If you don't know anyone and you don't practice, then you're probably safe. If you are someone who practices, has friends, relatives, acquaintances who practice, goes up. Goes up even more if you're in these circles and you've made someone mad, or some type of resentment or enemy, and sometimes you might not even know it. Then you have to think about protection and all that type of stuff. So, but I don't feel like everybody's in that category. So you have to kind of look at what your risk level is when you're evaluating these things. And again, not everything is a result of a magical attack. Sometimes just life happens, shit happens. So, one more thing I need to mention. The harming or offending of an entity. What form could this take place? One might be if your house was inadvertently built upon an unknown cemetery. So now there's a violation of the dead. Maybe it was once a cemetery if a priest blessed it, and then all of a sudden, they do away with that and, build houses and everything. Then that could be a problem. Or if the deforestation, the cutting down of mass amounts of trees to build subdivisions, and now you might have the Fae wanting to fuck with you. So there's that. So this is just the perception of the spirit of them being harmed or offending them in some way. And this can happen. So what else? Breaking an agreement with an entity, like an oath or a pact. If you help me out and do this, then I'll be sure to give you an offering every day for the next 6 months. Well, if you make an agreement, you'd better keep it, because then you can't be trusted, and they might feel the need to teach you a lesson. So, next, what would be the, well, let me say this again, one or two things doesn't necessarily make for a psychic attack. What you're looking for is patterns. You want to look for having a baseline of what your life actually is like, and then look for what is unusual, and then a pattern of unusual events, a pattern of bad luck. And from there, that's when you should consider, whether something has been done to you. A lot of times I think that people think that there are things being done to them, and it's not necessarily that. Sometimes people are just want an explanation for why does bad things happen to me? I'm a good guy, or I'm a good girl. Why is this? And it's uncomfortable to go through uncomfortable situations. But I don't think it's always an attack. But again, look for patterns, because there's a possibility it could be. So what would be some of the signs and symptoms? Well, one would be look for wrong place, wrong time type of events, where things could have gone differently in a positive direction, but you were just really here and something weird or bad happened there and you got caught up in it. And all that you did was probably make a choice to go to a gas station or something else. You didn't intentionally put yourself in a dangerous situation, but the danger found you nonetheless. The magical attack tends to affect the energy field of our bodies. So we have all these subtle bodies. We have the meridians, the chakras, we have the various levels, the karmic body, etheric body, and all of that. And the energy will affect that. That's how it can trickle down into physical things. And some of the physical things that tend to happen are headaches. That's usually kind of an early sign. It could be unexplained anxiety, paranoia, things just don't feel right. Could be other types of physical illness, because again, it affects the subtle bodies. One common thing along with headaches would be bad dreams. If you have a history of just sleeping like a baby, things going good, and all of a sudden you get bad dreams and it starts to be a pattern, and you can't pinpoint what that is. It isn't like you haven't had some type of trauma or upsetting experience to upset your nightlife, your dream life, but all of a sudden there is something there. Waking up in the middle of the night and hallucinating things. Sometimes that is something. That is a symptom. When we're sleeping, we are particularly vulnerable to energy, to all type of unseen forces. And that's why the dreams part is something to definitely to consider. Fatigue. Now this is a specific type of attack. That would be more like the attack from a parasitic spirit. I've talked in other videos about spirits that will cling to your aura and try to take your energy. Or it could be people who usually use the vampiric form of energy work, who actually, to gain energy, they try to take bits of your energy through focus and visualization and things like that. So those are the main symptoms to be aware of. If let's say that you have a couple of these symptoms and you're not sure whether there's an attack or not, what I would ask you to think about is to go and do a card reading or any type of divination if you have skills in that area. If you don't trust your skills, or let's say that you don't feel objective enough because you're just in a bad place as a result of what you're going through, which is something that happens, and there's definitely no shame in it. In fact, I've said this in other videos, is that when we are doing a card reading and we are just off center and we are just off and we have a lot of emotion and a lot of, oh, I just know this is the way it is, it actually can influence the fall of the cards. The cards can actually be a form of confirmation bias if you're not careful. So when you're doing the cards, be sure to try to be as detached and objective as you can. And if you cannot, then ask a friend or someone else who is going to be more objective, or maybe a professional reader, and who is competent in that form of divination, so they can look at it through fresh eyes and be able to kind of see as clearly as possible what's going on. Because that's going to be a confirmation, or maybe non-confirmation that it's happening. If they say no, and if you feel more comfortable, you want a second opinion, get someone else to look at it. And once you see when you have enough knowledge that, hey, this is a thing, then you can go and take steps to remedy it. And if you get nothing, if they said no, there's nothing, we don't see anything, then it could be something that, like I said, it could be just life, it could be just a string of randomness that has struck you. Or it could be that you are under stress or something else. Okay, well, that's about it. Let me know what you think. Have you ever been the subject of a psychic or magical attack? What happened? Was there a time that you thought you were and you weren't? That can happen too. And the thing with that is you need to kind of figure that out, because you don't want to walk around paranoid thinking people have done something to you, because then you get you get anxious, and then people say, why is he acting so strange? No, you don't want that to happen either. So anyway, take care, have a good weekend, please subscribe and like. I'm thinking about doing a follow-up video on my Patreon, but I will let you all know when that happens. Like I said, I've had some experience with this, and maybe we can talk about what are some things that you can look at in order to make this a better situation for you if you in fact are the victim of this type of thing. Okay? Talk to you later. Bye-bye.